live in New York City. It is Tuesday, December 29th. My name's Kim Jones, and I'm in for Kay Adams alongside Nate Burleson, Peter Schrager, and Kyle Brandt. We've got highlights, but it's time right now
for the lead block. This lead block will come to us from the state of Massachusetts. Guys, the Bills have not swept the Patriots since 1999. You know what song was massive in December of 1999? Everything Was Coming Up Smooth by Rob Thomas and Carlos Santana. That song was everywhere. And so was Stephon Diggs. Give me your heart, make it real, or else forget about it. Diggs, you're gone. This is a blowout. I mean, this was a shellacking, a mollywhopping, whatever you want to call it. The Bills have been on the other end of this. They've lost to Belichick by 4 touchdowns 7 times. 7. In this one, they just opened up a can. And this got weird. First play of the second half. First play. It's 24-9. Josh Allen's going to find Dawson Knox, who does sort of a pedestrian toe drag, right? Belichick challenges it, maybe trying to jumpstart the team, but it's clearly in, and Bill's standing right there. So someone in his head, you think, probably said, Bill, you should challenge it. Well, Bill got that someone on the phone and said, you're fired! The voice is going, it's angry runs, and I'm sure Bill's is too. He threw the phone, which I think broke. Then Stephon Diggs broke the defense again. I mean, we really do have a conversation of the Allen to Diggs and Rodgers to Adams combo. I mean, they're both, which one is hotter right now? You think that after what Rodgers and Devontae did the other night at Lambeau, but then you see this. This is a hat trick.
Ridiculous.
To see their hat trick, 3 touchdowns, over 100. He's the leading receiver in the league. He's got about, 120-some catches at this point.
Receptions and yards.
He breaks Eric Mould's single-season record. Josh Allen is passing Jim Kelly. It's one of these montage seasons for the Bills. Everything feels like a Joe Esposito montage. Everything works, including sad faces on the sideline for New England Patriots, who did put in Jarrett Stidham inconsequentially. The Bills put in Matt Barkley. They win 38-9. They have 1 game left before the playoffs. The Chiefs have locked up the bye. The Bills will not get the 1 seed. But in the meantime, Josh Allen is just notching his belt week after week. Josh, how'd this one feel?
We got a really good squad. We got talented players that work extremely hard and do the right thing, and when it comes down to nut cutting time during the games, we just got guys that consistently get open, make plays, block well, run the ball hard. Not to sound cliche and like a broken record, but it's number 12. We got 1 game left, and all that. It's cool, the records, this and that. But plan to get to 13-3 and give ourselves a chance in the playoffs. It doesn't mean much if we can't get it done, and we've got our mindset on bigger things. And first things first is Week 17 against the Dolphins in Buffalo.
The Bills take the 2 seed in the AFC after last night's win. For now, the Chiefs have already locked up that number 1 seed and that all-important bye week. And over in the NFC, it's the Packers, Saints, and Seahawks at the top. Who gets the 1 seed and the bye will be decided, as it should be, in Week 17. That's so awesome. And right now in the number 4 seed, we've got the Washington football team, first place in the NFC East and in prime position to make the postseason. And yet, they made an enormous move yesterday, releasing quarterback Dwayne Haskins, who started in place of Alex Smith on Sunday. For the latest from Washington, let's send it over to our good buddy, Mike Garafolo.
In advance of Sunday's Washington-Carolina game, I asked Washington right tackle Morgan Moses what the locker room thought about Ron Rivera not suspending or benching Dwayne Haskins for the private party with the strippers and the COVID-19 protocol violations last week. And he said, look, Dwayne Haskins is the best decision for us if Alex Smith can't go. By that, Moses and his teammates meant that basically he was the most talented quarterback on the roster. And that had been the case for 2 years. But Haskins just didn't make the right decisions on game day. He frustrated the coaching staff this year and last year with regard to making those incorrect decisions on Sundays, and at times just didn't put in the work. So Washington and Ron Rivera and this coaching staff that wasn't here when Haskins got drafted in the first place said, all the extracurricular stuff, just not worth it for us if this guy is not performing on Sundays, regardless of if he's looking good at practice from time to time. So Washington releasing Haskins and Rivera making it clear if Smith can't go on Sunday against Philly, that it'll be Taylor Heineke. But this team is cautiously optimistic that Smith will finally return to action and play in the season finale.
Good stuff, Mike. Thanks so much. Guys, what do you think about how the Haskins drama has played out? How do you think it affects Washington ahead of their biggest game of the season, Peter?
Yeah, Kim, you could say it's the biggest game they've had in 10 years.
Good point.
Maybe since RG3 was the quarterback, probably 5 years. I was on a radio show yesterday. I misspoke. I want to clear up what I said yesterday and just kind of the chronological order, and I'll do it on our show. So after the pictures came out, Ron Rivera's initial reaction was to let's just cut him. Like, I can't look. Then they spoke internally, and Doug Williams was one of the person I talked to, but Doug Williams went and spoke with Dwayne Haskins. Then Rivera thought things over for a while. Things calmed down a bit. And the thought was, as Mike Garafolo says, like, look, we've got 53 people in this room that are fighting for a playoff spot. Dwayne Haskins gives us the best chance to win on Sunday. He has, and we're going to go with him, and we're going to support him, and we're going to give him a zero tolerance policy, and we're going to find him as hard as we can, and hopefully that makes the difference for Dwayne, but also helps our team. After Sunday's loss and the way things went, I think everyone understood, and that's when Ron Rivera said, okay, on Monday. That's when he first went to the owner, Daniel Snyder, and said, I've got to release Dwayne Haskins. And from everything I hear from that building, Snyder was okay with that decision. And that is when the decision was made. So it seems like he was hanging in the balance there for a while. But the thought originally was, why keep him? Because there's 52 other players that are going to be playing. And they know that Taylor Heineke, if Alex can't go, can't be rolled out there without any practice reps. Like, Dwayne Haskins gives us the best chance to win.
Right.
But now that it looks like Alex Smith is ready to go and that Heineke's got some experience, I feel like this was a decision that may have been made a couple of days earlier, but they kept them along, and now it's official. And Daniel Snyder found out yesterday, just like the rest of us did, that he was being released.
Yeah, it was big news. It wasn't surprising news, though, given the recent events for Dwayne Haskins. Now, there's a big difference between being a bad person and making bad decisions. I don't believe that Dwayne Haskins is a bad person. He just made some bad decisions. And I also believe this is a prime example of maybe him coming out too early. He was a redshirt sophomore, played 1 year in college, an unbelievable season, 21 years old. He could have stayed and grew up a little bit, matured a little bit. And I'm not the guy that's on TV acting like I'm so far removed from what it feels like to be a young professional athlete. I know what it's like to be young and distracted. Hell, I know what it's like to be old and distracted. But what I also know is that when you have people in your circle that are trying to encourage you, like Doug Williams, I know that for sure. He has been in his corner trying to help this young man. You have to listen. You know, when somebody hands you the ball, metaphorically, they can't hold on to the ball for you. You know, in football terms, they keep handing the ball off to you. You keep fumbling opportunities. After a while, you know what they're going to do? They're not going to give you the ball anymore. So let this be a lesson for a young Dwayne Haskins to know that the best and the most priceless gem that you have is the actual opportunity to play in the NFL. And you fumble it a couple of more times, you will not have that opportunity again. I feel like he will land on his feet. He will play somewhere. And I hope that this year, 2020, like for a lot of people, is a huge learning lesson. And he comes out on the better end of it.
I just look at decision making for young quarterbacks, like on the field, off the field, and it just was continuously bad. I remember, there was that incident last year when he took a picture with a fan while the game was still going on. All right, so he's young. There's just another one, and then after this game, he leaves, and the media is all mad because he doesn't speak. It's just a terrible decision. And look at his peers, look at Kyler, these young quarterbacks, or Josh Allen and Baker. They're not doing the dumb stuff. They're keeping their stuff in order. And I look at the Washington fan base. We have a personal connection to this. This is a crazy turn of events because you were so excited. This big, strong franchise quarterback for years to come. You go back to the 2019 draft. It was in Nashville. We were all there. I was in the crowd with each fan base as their pick was announced. And I'm standing surrounded by these Washington fans who are so excited. And they think we're going to get a quarterback. And I remember I talked to this young woman named Laura who was so excited and wanted him to draft Haskins so badly. This was the video of that, right as the pick happened. Just look at the pure joy from Laura and her fellow fans here.
This is Laura. She's been going to games since back at RFK. What should they do, Laura?
It's got to be Haskins. He's got DC roots, and we love him. Let's go.
In the 2019 NFL Draft, the Washington Redskins select Dwayne Haskins.
so it's actually really sad
Yeah,
and
it is very
heartbreaking.
sad.
This is what I would say to you, though, Laura. You're an incredible sport, an incredible spirit, and I happen to think that your team is going to be hosting a home playoff game in a couple of weeks. I think things are looking up because I've said this from the beginning. My only problem with the benching of Dwayne Haskins is that it didn't happen earlier. I think Alex Smith's been the best quarterback on this roster since training camp. Once he worked out his health issues, it's been obvious to me. And what you said, Peter, about the power in the organization, the fact that the owner acquiesced to the coach says everything, because all we ever hear about that organization is they need culture change, they need culture change. I think a few years back, I think Dwayne Haskins is probably still on that team, maybe starting this weekend.
You know, what disappoints me the most on Haskins' behalf is he allowed those who doubted him coming out of Ohio State to, for now, be proved right.
Yeah.
And we talk about a league where every player in the world wants to prove all of us wrong all the time, right, Nate?
Right, no doubt.
And he allowed his critics to be proven right. I also think most of his, that I'm aware of, most of his issues are about immaturity. And I do think you can grow from that. I would tell you this, though, it concerns me greatly that in an organization where you have Doug Williams, who is wonderful, and I'm glad you brought him up, Alex Smith, who has been a willing mentor because we've seen it. We don't have to guess there. We have seen it. And teammates from Ohio State like Terry McLaurin, who is absolutely terrific and a mature young man and everything else, and Chase Young, who has shown none of these tendencies and is absolutely fantastic on and off the field from